What's up, everybody? I am fresh back from London, UK, London, United Kingdom. It was an absolutely amazing trip. I got to go to London Real Studios. I got to hang around that amazing city, see that awesome country, look at some of the palaces. I want to go back. I'm planning on going back this summer. I'm going to take Shauna with me so that we can actually check out the country a little bit deeper. Um, when What I wanted to talk about today is something I've been contemplating because you go on these long flights and you think for a while. And something cool happens when you have time to think. You start to tap into some things. You start to become a little bit more self analytical and you start to really understand things about your life a little bit more when you do this. Sometimes we have so many inputs. We're like looking at social media, we're dealing with messages coming at us from the television or people we interact with on a daily basis. But when we get to sit down and actually think and actually stay with our thoughts for a bit, we can come to some really unique concepts. One of the big things I was thinking about is there's this tendency amongst us, whether we're looking at fitness, whether we're looking at professional goals, we're looking at our careers. Back when we're in high school, we're talking to our guidance counselors. It's a tendency to try to create some sense of perfection, some sort of path for ourselves. And you get taught, go to school, get a job, go to a good college, do well on your SATs, get a job, come out, earn $100,000 a year, get a house, get a wife, get kids, eventually retire, then die. And that's what happens, So we all have this kind of ideal, typical thing that goes on in our head. Similarly, a lot of you who are on your fitness journeys right now, you are on your journey. You are trying to go forward and you are trying to push yourselves toward some vision of perfection in your mind, whether it's in your body or in your performance or in the amount you want to squat, the amount you want to deadlift, how you want to look, how you want to be with the opposite sex, how you want to be in relationships and things like that. This ideal of like an alpha male or something. And so we put ourselves on these quests for perfection. And what happens? Well, I can't speak for you, but when we start to think about those quests for perfection, and I start to think about every time I've tried to strive for perfection in my life, what inevitably happens is I start to become more self conscious. I start to think. You know what? I don't want to do this squat unless it's going to be absolutely perfect. I don't want to venture out on a diet unless everything's set up so that I can have my meals just perfectly. I don't want to start this business until the perfect time. I don't want to start this relationship until my life is right for it. The problem with everything when we think like this is that life is never perfect, right? You're always going to have external factors that come at you. You're going to have family problems. You're going to have bills. You're going to have work. You're going to have tragedy. You're going to have sadness. You're going to have moments of elation. You're going to have things that distract you. You're going to have holidays. And so, knowing this, we have to ask ourselves, why do we seek perfection? Right? Why do we seek perfection? Why do we seek perfection when at times that whole search just paralyzes us, and it paralyzes us into inaction where we don't do a damn thing. We sit there in the same spot we were, hoping and waiting for that perfect time to make something happen, that perfect time to improve our bodies, that perfect time to get smarter, that perfect time to improve our lives. In my mind, the greatest things that have happened to me have happened not as a result of immediately coming to success, but they've happened after a process of mistakes, a series of screw ups, things that sent me downhill for a bit. And the reason is because with every mistake I ever had, I learned something from it. I learned a lesson, some valuable morsel of knowledge that carried me forward. So again, I ask, why do we seek perfection? Why do we seek success when in reality, what will help us more is if we seek more mistakes that we make in good faith. And what I mean by mistakes in good faith is that we actually tried to put the effort in, but we screwed up somehow. We got defeated. We should be seeking defeats, right? Because if we're seeking defeats, that means we're extending ourselves beyond our reach right now. And in that process, we make ourselves better. We should be seeking the opportunity to become humble in a good way. The type of humility that teaches us that we don't know everything and teaches us exactly what we need to do to get better. We should be taking more risks, more chances. So, a big question that I'm going to challenge you to ask yourself every day is, what mistake can I make today that I'll learn from? Right? And if you think about that in those terms, rather than saying, what can I do that's going to lead to my greatest amount of success right now? Right? What's that low-hanging fruit that I can grab onto? If you think about it in those terms, it takes the fear out of it. Because you know that even if you do screw up, even if you do make a mistake, you're going to benefit from it somehow. You're going to learn something. And from that mistake, you'll fix something. Maybe you'll screw up again. And you fix another thing. Slowly, you'll get better. Right? Now, I'm not saying go out and walk in front of traffic. I'm not saying go out and rob banks or anything like that. Those aren't mistakes in good faith. What I mean by mistakes in good faith is you started something. It's harder than you thought it would be. You screwed up at first. Take, for example, going into jiu-jitsu class the first time. When I walked into jiu-jitsu class, man, I was stronger than a lot of people there. I was more muscular than a lot of people there. But when you have somebody who's half your body weight choking you out, that teaches you something. That teaches you that you have a whole lot to learn. And with every time I get choked out, I learn something. So go out there and make mistakes. Don't be afraid to. Right? The more mistakes you make, the closer you're going to be to coming toward your goal. That's all I got for today. Hope that made sense. And I will talk to you all soon.